Hey, this is Dawn here with a PS to the video or the audio that follows. Just to say that Archangel Michael has a wicked sense of humor sometimes. He's so serious most of the time, but I just got home and I was about to upload this audio that I'll share in the remainder of this video. And a song was running through my mind that was Take Me to the King, which was performed by the winner of last year's voice competition online. I forget his name. I think it's Chris Blue. But in any case, I was singing that song, and Archangel Michael was like pinging me, and he was saying. But don't forget, it's not just the king; it's the king's cross. And I was like, King's Cross. That sounds familiar, but I couldn't like place it. King's Cross. So I googled it, and up comes King's Cross Station in the UK, which anybody watching from there will recognize right away in the London on the tube, and which took me to a link for Harry Potter, which I read to my son many years ago, all the books, and platform 9 3/4. And as soon as I saw that, Archangel Michael was like, all aboard. And so all aboard, we are at platform 9 3/4 and about to board the gosh, like this journey needed any more supernatural Hogwarts like stuff for some of us. But in any case, platform 9 3/4, you know, the door would mysteriously appear from this brick wall, and then they would be on the Hogwarts Express to go to their wizarding school. And so I just thought that was hysterical and wanted to share that with you. So I'll talk a little bit in the audio that follows about we're being asked to step onto the platform. So it's going to be magical, huh? And probably a wild ride, and it's going to be fast from what I'm shown. So lots of love. Take care, everybody. See you probably before. Hey everybody, it's Dawn here with a audio recording just to talk a little bit about the energies moving into through the equinox and then into Easter weekend, and just want to check in, say hello, and share a little experience and give a little encouragement. So first thing I want to say, I think I'll put the intro I just recorded on the beginning of this video. You know, like I do a daily practice, which I hope all of you do as well. You know, whatever, you know, fits your life and your style. There are a number of ways you can do this, and I'm pretty sure anybody listening to this video will hopefully be doing that themselves to really cleanse and clear their energy and to connect with the highest timeline to embody the light and the life and the love that you are at your core, and to connect to your wholeness and your whole self and your soul self. So that is a daily practice that should be a given on this journey, and it has become that very much for me. And I wanted to share a little experience. So I was felt the energies coming in toward the end of last week. Definite upgrades already beginning with I guess it was a new moon energy, and the also just the what I discussed in my previous video, the time of, you know, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, the preparation, the lead up to the equinox. And I feel like there was really an awful lot that transpired there. I think that we all probably experienced it in our own ways. You know, no tremendous, you know, shared event, and no particularly there's some really interesting moments for me. I'm not really going to speak to that in this video, but because I think we all experienced what we needed to experience for where we are and for who we are. And I think it was unique to everyone. I will just make a quick comment. I considered making a video and I didn't, and I just want to make a quick comment that I think that this time that we're in toward the end of March, and including these upgrades that are coming in along with the equinox, is about full reclamation of the whole of who we are. And that means all of who we are, and that means you know, those pieces that we still may, you know, like recoil from when we see them in ourselves, and remembering that it's all a play of light, and we are the fullness of who we are is allowed in this space and time, and that as we allow that and accept it and love who we are fully and more deeply every day, we are also opening up a space for us to have a greater allowance in our lives for what is, and to therefore, as we allow what is to be, to therefore step up and open our arms to receive more and more of the wholeness of the experience of life, because that's why we're here, living in full expression. And so that's been a part of what I've been experiencing, and there have been some beautiful ways that has occurred. So I hope that you're experiencing that. I want to share specifically in some contrast of this weekend, past weekend for me. It's Monday, the 19th of March 2018 when I'm recording this. Friday, lots of felt the energy coming in, lots of cool moments for me, and lots of joy, and also lots of more reflective moments, I would say, and a lot of inner child healing in a different kind of way for me. So I'm not going to go in too deep to that, but I just wanted to touch on it in case you have been experiencing that. And Saturday, I had a day where it was like every moment I could feel the potentiality and the imperative of me realizing and recognizing the choice point in every single moment. And so I made choices that I felt good about in the moment, in that day, and with releasing any expectation of the outcome with those choices, in regard to every area of my life. And I sort of went with the flow of my life, which is a challenge for me, as anybody who follows me knows. But I did that to the highest degree possible, and I had a beautiful day. I just was very cognizant of the way that every choice in our individual lives sets a momentum and sets a trajectory and a connection, and allows us a greater opening for the experience of life, and somehow, beyond my understanding or my ability to describe, but somehow connects for others, opens up a pathway for others. And I had some really, really beautiful spiritual connections, or connections within me to the larger team that I work with in particular, and to the flow of life through me, and in me and through me, where it just pertains to my connection with all that is unfolding for our planet, and all that is unfolding on multiple timelines and multiple dimensions, and then all that is unfolding within my twin dynamic and within my world. Although I couldn't see the tangible evidences, I felt them, and that was beautiful. Okay, so that was Saturday, and there's a lot more I could say about that. There's also a feeling on Saturday of it, a kind of a we're at the top of the roller coaster, we're about to go on a wild ride. And that's for me what I was experiencing. Well, then Sunday, what I want to get to, and this, I don't know that this is tied to Sunday in particular, but what it is tied to is I want to share it because I feel like it was a great reminder to me. So I got in the car, I was driving, going on a little trip, and every day I do my daily practice, and I do 3 specific things, and then I do, some variations of more deeper meditation, prayer, and centering, and that varies from day to day. But the 3 things I do every day, I listen to 3 things every day, or else recite 3 things every day. And so I did, did the more personal one that I do. I might share about that more in a different forum, but I did the more personal one I do for myself, and I did my sort of basically a series of things that I do to disentangle myself and cut cords and be clear my energy. So I did that, which is a basic kind of practice. And then the third thing I always do is a more specific clearing sequence that I have on my iPhone, and I just listen to it. It's something I have. You can choose whatever works for you, and I have a particular one that I listen to on a daily basis, and then I add my own little prayer to that, and my connection to
um, I particularly call in Jesus and Archangel Michael, and have a little conversation there with them about this topic. And I was in the car driving, and I had done the first two things, and I was like, okay, I'll do that in the car. I'll listen in the car because I had plenty of time to do it. And I was in a really high vibe place, and really grounded. Had come off a really strong day Saturday, and I just got distracted, and I didn't listen to it, but I didn't remember that I didn't listen to it because I guess I was, I think I was recording something else and I was listening to the radio, and then I got to my destination, and then one thing led to the other, and I realized a couple hours into the place that I was, I realized, well, something was feeling off, and like, whoa, what is that? And I couldn't quite place it, what it was, and I couldn't. It was almost as if I had lost my bearings for a moment. Not where I was physically, but more so just I couldn't really discern where this was coming from. Is this something interior? Like, is this a memory, a soul memory? Because I'll often have those arise within me, and I don't really sometimes understand why they're arising. Or is this an inner child, thing? Is this something within me, or is this my twin? My sacred partner, and what he happens to be going through at the moment. Or is this somehow the environment that I'm now in? I was in another person's home, and was this the environment? Because I'm very susceptible sometimes to, electrical and any sort of maybe negative energy that's been as one healer friend put it to me once, plastered all over the walls or otherwise has been in that space. I pick up on it, and sometimes I don't know what I'm picking up on until it's, hours, days, has been weeks in the past, have gone by, and I suddenly realize, ooh, that was somebody else's energy that was left, residual energy, and or the person in the space. So I really didn't know. I just felt as my sensors went off, and I kind of felt, okay, my intuition said something's happening, but again, I wasn't super clear on what, and I took a moment and I couldn't put my finger on it. I just couldn't get my bearings, and I was like, well, that's unusual, what's happening? But I noticed it. I tried to discern, and I really wasn't getting anything clear. Now, what I wish I had done at that moment is stopped and done the clearing, or done some process, or gotten outside at that moment. But instead I thought, well, I'm going to get outside and a few hours later, so that'll be good, and I didn't ignore my intuition there. I noticed it, I observed it, but I didn't act on immediately. And so what happened next was everything was fine, and I was still feeling a little agitated internally, but everything was good in the environment. And then out of the blue, I suddenly felt this wave of literally like a force of a block, like a boom, like a ton of bricks kind of feeling, and it hit me. It hit me in my gut, and then almost immediately thereafter, there was confusion, and that's evidence for me almost always that this is something that is, whether it's self-created or from an external source. That in the Bible, in the biblical record, that Satan is called the father of lies. The devil is called the author of confusion, and it's very true from my experience. That is what it's all about, and there's nothing that energies that are dedicated to, or even people dedicated to sustaining systems, either for direct evil and evil intent, or whether for selfish gain, and not dedicated or devoted to the greater good, or the good of all, or the liberation of and restoration of humanity. Those energies or people who are not aligned with that, and who want to prevent that, in fact, because it will they perceive that it will take something from them that they have become accustomed to, which usually is a result of greed and et cetera, et cetera. When that happens, when that's going on, it'll often show up in your environment when you're getting sucked up into that vortex. It'll often show up as confusion, as a myriad of choices that seem like overwhelming, or as this energetic wave that I, kind of experienced, that it was very much about felt like a lockdown. Sometimes I have in the past experienced it as attack energy, although again, that sometimes is illusion. It's just perception and illusion. So in any case, I felt this. So, okay, now we have a progression. My intuition said, wait, something's not right here, but I couldn't put my finger on it. And then I went into further, deeper confusion. Think about that, confusion against fusion. It's literally creating chaos, wreaking havoc. When you see and feel that happening, you can be sure that something is off track. And again, whether it is self-created and internal or external, that's your okay, now the alarm bells are going off a little stronger. So I noticed it, I felt it, I reacted to something that was in the environment that clearly was an overreaction to what was in the environment. And I latched on to one thing, and I felt and saw myself doing it. So that's good. I was still connected enough to be observant. And so essentially what happened at this point, it had not occurred to me that I had missed doing my morning clearing. It just hadn't occurred to me. And because I'm in this mental state of what the hell is happening, and I'm also in a bit of an emotional, I wasn't spiraling or anything, but I was definitely reacting disproportionately to what the thing was. And I knew that, I could see that, I could feel it, but it was like I was already spinning a bit, caught up in that vortex of energy that was not my own, or was not my authentic self in any case. And so this happened, and it wasn't, I recognized it, and it wasn't to the degree that I have experienced it, many years ago, or even in the past when I've been less aware. So I saw it, but again, I was like a little bit in the midst of it. And so I did take steps to, withdraw from the circumstance, change my energy. I did go outside. I did, I changed my immediate plans to get out and try to get my bearings and get clarity again. And that did assist me. But it wasn't until much later that night that I could connect the dots, and I could see the slipey slope. Thank goodness not anything major, but it's almost like, it's similar to when somebody who is, say, recovering from an addiction or otherwise on a positive trajectory in their life and to some degree in some area, and they sort of have this small slip, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm sure I'll get to that later, or we'll course correct a little bit, and they make a note of it, but they don't follow up with action and choice. Now see how this connects to the day before, because the day before I was very much in the moment, choice point, choice point, choice point. Now I was attempting to do that for myself this wave hit Sunday. I was attempting to do that, and I was doing fairly good at adjusting and doing some good things to getting back and getting back into my heart center. But I continue to be whatever this vortex of energy was that was spiraling and spinning. It was very powerful, and I acknowledged that. I was actually with someone, and I was able to say everything was fine. That person thankfully understands and has seen this before, and it was totally, understood what was happening. I think, at least not the whys like me, but they did not understand the why, but saw it. So we were able to have some dialogue, and I was able to be adjusting in the moment as best I could, and I got through it. But there's a lot coming up, and it was at some point it became very clear this is not at all me at all, because there was nothing, no reason for that, and yet me trying to find the reason was being used by the energy itself to create further confusion and chaos. So I was making adjustments, and I was, attempting to course correct, and was doing okay with that. But again, I completely missed it until the whole day went by, and I realized I had not done the protections that I normally do that morning. And I'm not one to believe that, we're always being attacked by negative energy, and, we're, powerless over, and we're just thrown around by the tail of, the dark light or the dark and the light, because really it's not that simple in a way to me. And yet at the same time, it was very clear. By the end of that evening, there were some other things that made it clear to me, my awareness even itself was being to some degree compromised because of things that were drawn to my attention, because I had prayed and called on on Jesus and Archangel Michael, and talked and asked that I reconnect to my heart space, and that it was doing well. Anyway, it became clear to me at some point in the afternoon, whoa, this is, first of all, way bigger than me, not just about something I'm reacting to in this immediate environment or anything. This is definitely energetic. And that evening when it occurred to me that, oh wow, did not do that, and some things made it very clear to me that this was much larger, and so then I knew immediately what to do, and I did that, and then that evening I didn't sleep very much. That was last night, and I was just receiving wave after wave after wave of clarity, which is, interestingly, the theme I chose for myself this year was radiant clarity, vibrant clarity. And it was in the same way I described my own picture of the quote event, and things that might unfold. That's like what was happening. I was receiving that internally. So, I'm not saying it was the event period, but it was like that. I was receiving activations, and there was, as soon as I not only just was aware, but actually made the choice to be the creator and the activator of my own experience, which required both a surrender of any attachment to the outcome and a presence to what was unfolding. Everything opened up, and now I felt, I felt that energetic shift within me. So that was what was occurring for me this weekend, and I just wanted to share that because I felt like it was there's something to that in terms of us remembering to continue to. Some of us have been doing these sorts of things quite some time, and to remember to continue to have that foundation and the basics, and to return to those as much as possible, and then to receive through whatever's happening what is there for us, and to reclaim our, again, back to the full reclamation of who we are, to reclaim our sovereignty in the experience. And so it's a balance, right? It's surrender and sovereignty, sovereignty and surrender. And so I think I'll stop there. But I just want to share that experience with you all and let you know that's what I was experiencing. So now, here we are moving into Equinox week and then into Easter. I just wanted to share a little bit about, in terms of this week, that word foundation is important, and foundational experiences and preparation again, and just stepping onto the platform. Okay, stepping up and onto the platform of your life. Now, I'm not talking about your work here, although it may pertain to, to mission and visibility and work and how you're showing up. But we are being called forth and called upon now to, again, back to the anchoring of light, which many of us been doing all along, but it's an active participation in the co-creation of our experience from here forward now. And this includes moving into Easter weekend, just so moving into the last weekend of the month and into April 1st. And I believe there's another full moon in there coming up along, coinciding with that. And we're being called out now. Like, imagine the little trumpeting angels. I mean, not little, they're big, but with they're sounding the call right now, and this is it, to step up and to be present and accounted for. So I think that's actually all I want to say about the equinox this week, is about that. And one other thing I wanted to touch upon is that in experiences where there may be an attempt to throw us off course, or to interfere, or to otherwise diminish what we have to bring forward, what we are here, the gift we are asked to show up with. If there is any attempt to confuse you, in other words, to interfere with or work against the fusion of the unique gifts, the fine gifts of original design that you come bearing, the sacred seeds of essence that you have come to share, that will be thwarted so long as you remain present and make that choice point from within the course of any given moment. And when you, like me, perhaps are thrown off course, or in that that vortex of confusion that can appear, take the time to bring yourself the love of which you are deserving, and of which, any parts of you that are in any sort of what you would perceive to be a negative emotion, so any fear or anger or angst or irritation or aggravation or any of those, bring your love and attention to yourself in that experience of that moment, and then use your daily practices and all of the tools that you have for grounding. I think is really important. It goes back to that platform idea and foundation. Remaining connected here and now to your whole self and to your soul self, to Gaia, Earth, this, the land itself, and to all of the elements of creation, and being present and accountable as much as possible in any given moment, and then returning to surrender and sovereignty. That's what this week is about, as I'm receiving it right now. And I just wanted to share that with you in this audio, and to say the strength that we are invited to show right now is directly connected to what may be showing up in our environment, or whether that's, again, interior or exterior. And that can include any moments of confusion, panic, anxiety, anger, aggression, and then all of the variations of those things, and fear. Felt like that, sharing that with you, that those experiences, and the idea of stepping up onto the platform, and then that balance, of surrender and sovereignty. They are not opposites. They are one. They are held in a circle of one, and you are that circle. And this Easter, for me, this time of year, the beginning of spring, and in particular for me, I do connect that very much with, He is risen. The sun is risen indeed. And Easter, and S-O-N, Son, and I do connect with that, with Jesus the Christ, and with the the Christ that we allow to be risen within us, and that we embrace that we die to self and ego, and so that's the surrender part, and that we rise again and are raised to new life through the grace of God. That's what this is about. And as we are raised to new life, we are invited to stand upon the platform of our lives and to be the whole of who we are, and to show up fully here and now, and then to receive. We bring a gift, and we are invited to receive as we make that step forward. And it can be, can feel intimidating, but this is it. This is it. This is now. We are here. We have places to go. And there will be no thing that will interfere ultimately with that, because it is a divine appointment. And we are being called out here and now. So lots of love to you this week, and happy equinox, happy spring, or if you're in the northern hemisphere, happy spring, and happy autumn if you're in the southern hemisphere. And this is it. This is it. I keep singing that song. What is that, from the 70s or 80s, or I don't know. Maybe it's a long time ago. But this is it, and we are here, and we have places to go, and we can trust that we are being guided and moved into the position and the places that we are meant to be when we trust life, and when we are present and accounted for, and when we make choices in all of the moments that we are gifted with, and we allow ourselves to open our arms to receive the grace of God. And I personally am just so grateful for the moments when I am able to connect to the beauty of who we are collectively. And in that, I mean that both those of us called to the specific path, and the whole of humanity, all of us are playing a divine role. And that means even those who do show up as interlopers or as interferers, or otherwise playing a part in some perceived negative experience that we are having, that it is, I do truly believe it is all a play of light. And when we understand that, we begin to see those individuals who are participating in that agenda or for those purposes in a different light. And when we see them in a different light, we realize both the higher role they are playing, and also the beauty of who they are underneath all of the masks and underneath all of the shenanigans. and that is such a freedom exists in that place when we can embrace that whole new way of seeing ourselves and the other and all of life.